Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, where Johnny is present, and he's gonna fucking kill them all.
I'm gonna help him, bro.
You're tuned in. So, Carlos, what are we doing today, bud?
Oh, actually, his mic's not plugged in. That's good. That's
God.
All right. Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by cinema lovers for cinema lovers. We are here in studio,
As always,
here to talk about our next Halloween pick.
Spooky
Some people
season.
will argue that this is not a scary film. So, yeah, you not a scary film?
because he watched it in 2023.
That has nothing to do with it being
It
scary.
has nothing to do with it.
With it being scary?
I was talking to him about it. Yeah, because back in the day, people believed in ghosts, like more than they do now.
Bro,
Yeah.
I believe in I've seen ghosts.
that man is a ghost. Anyway,
I'm
He's
being
not really
dead
here.
serious.
Here's the
No,
thing,
but
though.
that's my take. That's
I'm gonna
my
tell
take.
you guys
Go
this
for
before
it.
we kick into the episode.
Go for it.
Tell people to subscribe.
The writer of the source material, Mr.
Wait.
Stephen King himself, didn't think it was a scary film.
Yeah, it's one
So-
of those that he does not approve of this film.
Oh, he doesn't approve of the film, but he genuinely says, "I don't find anything scary about this film."
Oh wow, I didn't.
He said that. Those were his words.
You know what else Mr. King finds scary? When people don't subscribe to the podcast.
When people don't subscribe to the Tower Productions YouTube,
90-ish
spe-
percent.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
yeah, 92.
92% of people who
3%
watch
better.
our show
Well,
aren't
that was last year.
subscribed.
That could have changed. I mean, that was last week. That could have changed.
Last week.
Like 2 weeks ago.
3% from 95 to 3.
Anyways,
Just-
please subscribe
please
to
subscribe.
either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, our YouTube page if you want to see this in video form. And help us share it on your respective social media platforms.
Yeah, if you like it, we do our little like stories, and those are always fun.
We sure do.
Yeah.
Very
To
great.
the film
Did you
community,
know-
everybody?
Somebody watched the story the other day and said, "Wow, that Michael kid sounds smart."
No, they didn't. They
What
said
else
we
did your
should-
mom say?
Ma, you the best. Okay, keep
The
watching.
MVP.
You're special.
I'll
What does
see you
DJ
for dinner.
Khaled say?
No.
You's important.
Yeah.
You special.
I think that.
I seen it.
No, that's Oh, why am I blanking on his name? From Zack and Mary Get
Oh,
Make a
yeah,
porno.
Craig Robinson.
Yeah.
I seen it.
Yeah.
But in This Is the End.
Anyways,
Anyway.
The Shining.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about Stanley Kubrick's 1980 The Shining. Some will call it a horror film.
Some will call it a film.
Oh, little. little
Some will
jab
call
in
it just
there?
a film.
Some will call it just a film.
Well, okay. Well, let me. Okay, before you keep going, was it successful?
No. It bombed. And critically, it was panned too.
Castro,
Why
you
didn't I
gotta stop
research
making
this?
these points.
It did bomb.
It bombed.
Bro,
Guys,
it didn't
no,
even.
no, no,
It
no,
didn't
let
even
me
make a.
rephrase
Mi-
it.
It
Is
didn't
it a
even
cult
make
classic?
$1 million in the opening weekend.
It is a
Did
cult
it?
classic.
No.
It didn't.
It's quite the definition of a cult classic. It didn't make money, and the critics hated it.
Not a single Oscar nod.
Critics hated it. In fact,
Castro, you gotta stop making points.
in fact, The Shining was nominated for
I
2
like
Razzies. If you don't know what a Razzie is,
No.
It
You
was
gotta
nominated. It was nominated for 2 Razzies, 2 Raspberry Awards. You know what a Raspberry is?
Oh, it was for worst actress and worst director.
Yep.
No.
However, it was rescinded for at worst actress in 2022.
I agree.
It was recent. And you're defending this picture?
Not that part.
He picked this
Jack
picture.
Nicholson, for
He
sure.
did pick this picture. This was your pick.
This is
But
my
anyways,
pick.
yeah, it was nominated for 2 Razzies. One of them was rescinded, the Shelley Duvall Razzie, because they basically said the Razzie Awards were like,
She got
Kubrick.
credit.
It was Kubrick's fault that she performed this way.
Oh, okay.
So let's take it away from her. Kind of.
But the director.
He stayed. That stayed. That stayed on
Really?
him as a Razzie.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I didn't. By the way, my opinion was formed before I knew any of this. But you know,
Okay, let me ask you. This is a new question. Is this the only film that he got a Razzie for? Stanley?
that's a good question. I don't
Probably.
know.
Because Full Metal Jacket, no, all these.
Barry
I wouldn't
Lyndon,
expect
Clockwork
this one.
Orange. I don't know. But anyways, we're
Damn,
talking
dude.
about The Shining.
The Shining.
Let's get into our ratings. This was Mr. Castro's pick for Halloween for Spooky
Yeah,
Month.
this
One-
is the only Razzie he got nominated for.
Interesting.
I want to explore that. I really do want to explore that because it is a cult film, but it's a cult film amongst horror fans, not really amongst cinema fans.
I beg to differ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to explore that. Look, don't get me wrong. It's on a bunch of prestigious lists. It's on Roger Ebert's list, the 1001 films to watch before you die.
It's number 65 on IMDb.
Number 65 on IMDb.
So what's going on?
That's what we're gonna explore on this podcast, Mr. Castro. You get to pick, pal. Who goes first and why?
Let's go with the law.
He just wants to hear something
He's
good
a
first.
Smart man.
You know what, Castro, you're the kind of guy who likes to eat your dessert first, huh? You like to feel special, and then you're like, fuck, I gotta
Yeah, I'll take the shit later.
All right, well, because we're choosing that,
Take the broccoli later.
No,
I've
whatever.
always been a big fan of this film. Early when I started getting into cinema,
See, mama?
Cinnamon.
I was recommended this film a lot. Kubrick mainly as a filmmaker, just all of his works, people would say are super intentional. He had so much detail. There's so much layering to like what he does.
Well, Eyes Wide Shut. I don't know.
You didn't dig it? I want to see. I've never seen it.
Really?
I've never seen Eyes Wide Shut. It was his last picture.
But go for it. Just you're saying so much beautiful things, and then you kind of like, all right.
You're the kind of guy who likes to spit on your dessert just to feel bad midway through it.
That's who you're dating. Okay?
No, so like I'd gotten a lot of recommendations to watch this film. I had seen it early on when I was starting to get into. I wasn't a filmmaker yet, or didn't like see myself making films yet, but I saw myself appreciating more.
How old were you when you saw it?
True.
I was probably like 20.
Okay, because most people, I included and you included, I know, like I
Yeah.
saw it as a kid.
Yeah, as a kid.
No, I didn't
8,
see
9
it
probably.
then.
Yeah.
I saw it like later into college already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were able to form a better opinion about it.
Yeah.
As opposed to being shocked immediately as a kid of like, whoa, you know.
What do you mean a better opinion? Because you saw it with a more mature,
A more
mind?
developed mind.
Yeah, I saw it like from the
But, like,
perspective
that's why I
of-
always had to like. But he saw it
Later in life.
later in life, where like it just. You guys said it wasn't scary. It was like, well, because you guys saw it.
No. I'll counter there. A film that's scary is scary. You know,
Okay. Ooh,
Midsummer
that's a
is
good
going to
one.
be scary at
That's a good one.
20
Okay,
as well as it is at 8, you know.
or 50.
That
Or
is pretty
50,
good.
yeah. I mean,
If you're 8 and watching Midsummer,
mean-
I need to have a talk with your
yo,
parents.
somebody posted a thing today. I think it was Natalia. Shout out Natalia. Of somebody did a 3D model of the scene from Hereditary where she gets her.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like a retracting theme. Like it's like a fish pole. You do it forward, and then
Wow.
she hits the pole,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the
yeah.
head like comes off on a string, and then you
God.
retract it, and it gets the other in the car.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
That is.
That's crazy.
But it looked like some 10-year-old science project, you know. So hey, you know,
Wow.
yeah. Anyways, rating, pal.
Okay. It was.
Wait, I don't think we've discussed this before. Because this is like our spooky month, right?
True.
Are we doing a spooky rating and a normal rating?
I don't think so. Well, maybe.
No. Because at that point we've
I
done
don't know,
like.
yeah,
He,
we
he
might
made,
have
he
to,
made a
man.
good point. Like if it's scary, it's scary.
I'll
But we
argue.
might
I
have to,
don't.
pal. Think about this. We're gonna review Jason. You know, we're gonna review Friday the 13th next. Are we
But
really gonna
man,
be able
we
to
already
compare it?
reviewed
Exactly, exactly.
Nosferatu and Sweeney Todd.
I guess
I would
that's
argue
true.
that Nosferatu is more cinema.
All right, let me give my rating because y'all are really about bashing it.
no, well,
I think it's
What do you
scary.
mean? He's the one that loved it.
Okay, go
did.
for it.
you're
Love
the
the
kind
look.
of guy who likes to throw your dessert on the floor, right, and then forget about it and start eating.
And then go back. He's like Patrick from
Wait,
SpongeBob
dreaming about me,
after
bro.
he eats
Sorry,
his chocolate
baby.
bar. And he's like, "Did you eat my chocolate?"
Go on.
No, I still think that this is a good quintessential Kubrick film.
Is it safe to assume that the last time you watched it? I know the first time you watched it, but the last time you watched it was before your palate in cinema developed and/or you were a filmmaker.
No,
said-
I've been watching it probably at least once a year,
Okay.
like, since I first watched it,
Oh,
and showing people. And I know that everybody has their own take on it, but I genuinely think it's a good intro into a Kubrick-esque style.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you go 2001: Space Odyssey, sometimes that one's it's too rough for people. It's just too much of a slow burn.
Right.
I need to rewatch that one. I think Clockwork's really good, and I know that you said that one's your. Like,
It's my favorite,
It's
yeah,
your
still.
favorite, and I hold that one up higher, definitely. But I feel like to understanding Kubrick and understanding how he does these small little details and really
Sure.
explores them throughout the film, this is a good place to start.
Yeah.
I think it's cinema well done.
Oh, okay.
I do think that, like, when it comes to like intentionality from camera movement, intentionality to set design, performances, the whole method process.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really do think that there's a lot of merit that can be mustered from the film.
Sure.
So, with all that said, I mean, I do think that Kubrick's done better stuff later on, and I do think that if it's especially when it comes to like horror, which we'll get more into that. As a horror film, I'll put it at a 6. I think it could have been scarier if that was the intention, but it definitely has you where you feel uneasy, and I'll give it merit there. And it did all the filmmaking strategies to make it a horror film by definition. But
Shit, my bad.
You don't have to destroy this.
Sorry.
as far as like
my bad.
film and cinema,
Yeah.
Especially we'll talk a little bit about the Steadicam stuff. I want to give it like an 8.5.
Okay.
Oh,
I think an 8.5. It just
I'm around there too.
it's sure the story could have been told.
So then why are you
closer.
fighting like it's fucking Citizen Kane?
Because you started with the whole horror, it's not scary, and I got something.
I'm just stating facts, bro.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 8.5 and then for spooky.
8.5, 6, a soft 6.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go next.
Well,
Just because
I think he
he's about
thinks
to-
this is gonna counterbalance whatever bad opinions of this
Yeah,
film are
yeah,
gonna be like.
yeah, yeah.
I gotta go first because there's weight here.
no, it's
Okay,
because
No, Castro's all like,
know-
wait, let me go first. I'm doing something.
you know what it is. He saw the analytics and he's like, if I could stall for 2 more minutes,
Right.
then everybody's gonna leave the episode. Is gonna leave now. And like,
Yeah, so I gotta put my word in here.
yeah, put it best film ever, and then like people just drop off.
Okay, first answer me this question. What's the definition of horror?
Spooky, scary,
Okay,
scary.
that's not. I don't think this is where the category in this one is. I think this is a psychological
Yeah, it's psychological horror.
horror. Yeah, because it's all about
Sure.
a man,
Going insane.
yeah, slowly just descending into madness and
Excuse me.
It's meant to take you on that trip. It builds you up where everything seems normal and
exactly,
fine.
the direction
and then
Kubrick-
once it ramps up, you can't turn back.
See, that's the thing. I think with good reason. I think Kubrick made a very specific choice that I will back him on, but I don't think he was trying to do that. There wasn't a slow descent into madness. He started mad.
oh, okay. See, I had a little gripe on that because
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
I did
And that
feel-
was,
I
by
did
the
feel- I
way,
did
that's
feel like,
King's biggest gripe with this
I
film.
did feel like it went from like 20 to like
yeah,
100 real quick.
yeah.
When she first
When
stepped into the
King's,
I was like, oh, they
King's
could have like little.
intention in the novel was that he was a good man who slowly gets turned.
But in
This
this film-
was more of a.
It
sudden
happened
thing.
within like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I did notice that. Like when she came in and she was like, "This is
So-
what I'm writing."
So, well,
Yeah.
let's try to wrap into ratings. and
Yeah,
then
my bad.
let-
No. So that's how I see it. I'm a sucker for like
Psychological.
isolation.
Yeah.
It's all about a man and his thoughts and what he could do, what's possible, what he could do, which is scary.
performance.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
performance.
toss this out there.
Jack Nicholson's performance. We gotta talk about that.
He might kill me for saying something like this. Well, he might agree because Kubrick, did something else with his characters. Maybe, just maybe, we didn't need the wife and the kid character. If I would have seen Jack's, deterioration,
Alone?
yeah, well, that's what we're arguing here, right? He was by himself. The loneliness, the
I see what you
I
get.
probably would have been a little more interested.
No, I think it adds to the effect. The wife, the whole family dynamic, and him.
Because doesn't that
Trying to-
foreshadow that whole? I mean, Austin, this is his first time seeing it, and he caught it in the first 5 minutes of the film.
What?
Basically saying like, "Oh, that's what he's gonna do, right? He's gonna murder the kid and the wife."
Oh, because they had that foreshadowing type of.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was laid on kind of thick,
right. It was laid on really thick.
like molasses.
I'm just wondering if those
You ever
characters
bought
were.
molasses?
I'm just wondering if with those characters, because I personally, they add a little bit for the horror element. I don't think we need. The whole point, the whole arc, in my opinion, was supposed to be about Jack versus Hotel.
Yeah, but how can you not? How can you not have family in there to up the stakes?
I feel that
Every
Right.
man has that thing in their mind, right? Where it's like, am I alone or do I have family? And that's
Right.
where this is like,
I think what it is that every horror film, there needs to be somebody who's stronger, and then there needs to be somebody who's in a more vulnerable state.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of like final girl, like protagonist
Right.
characters in like horror films because
I've written them. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand why they're essential, but for instance,
rating?
If we're playing devil's advocate, I would have loved to see the gentleman, what's his name? Scatman, whatever. That's the actor's name. That's his name.
The cook.
Scatman?
The cook.
The cook.
Scatman something. That's his actual name. That's his real name.
Scatman
Yeah.
Dan.
Scatman something. I would have wanted to see his arc. I think.
The whole relationship, like him
I would
with
have
the same
wanted.
skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that was more appealing to me than whatever his wife and the kid were going through.
See, and I didn't really like that.
You know, like it.
I didn't like the supernatural of like,
I
they could talk, they could tell.
Right.
Did you ever watch Doctor Sleep?
Oh.
I haven't seen it, so.
You know what?
Man, really?
And I heard
Funny
that.
story. I got like, I didn't want to see it because I saw the USA version of The Shining. I don't know if you guys have even heard of that one.
What?
Like a TV version? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A TV PG-13 version of it.
Really?
So it just took me off. Like I didn't want to see like The Shining. I don't want that to get messed up.
Interesting.
What?
But like a sequel, prequel. What is it?
It's a sequel. It's a direct sequel.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
Yeah. Danny grows up.
Yeah. It's played by
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan
Ewan
McGregor.
McGregor.
Your rating.
My rating. Just for the spookiness, just because I think it is a horror, just in a different type of style. I like the whole slowly, or how you said it, he was always mad, but just his descent into madness. I think that's horror in itself. I'll give it an 8.
Man,
Okay.
that's
In cinema or horror on the horror.
Horror, because it's a different type of horror. With me, that's scary to me, like to see a man, what a man is possible, right? Like,
Right.
or when have you seen like a film of a man chasing his kid with an axe? Like, it's
like
pretty-
some of my childhood films.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Come
kind of.
close.
But I'll give that, and then I'll give it for cinema 8.5.
Yeah.
8.5?
I'll give it
Okay.
an 8.5.
Who's
Fair.
next on this wacky adventure?
Well, let's go with Austin and then finish it.
Hi. My name's Austin. I've been
Speaking to
2
the
months sober. Oh. Hi, my name's Austin. I've been
Important to
sober for
note.
2 months.
That this was Austin's first time screening it, and this is
Exactly.
only this is only the second Kubrick film he's ever seen.
Oh, I thought you were saying, and the only time he's going to see it.
And the first one I saw was like what, last week with
Yeah.
Clockwork. So I put Clockwork at 1. Right, I've only seen Clockwork and Shining.
And this one at 10.
Yeah, and I put The Shining at 10.
I'll take it.
I've never seen any other
Yeah, I
ones.
haven't seen the other 8, but
I don't know why.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
What bored you about it then? Let's start there.
there was no build up to him going mad. The only thing that leaves me confused,
And you know what sucks?
or I guess my own theories, or I don't even know if it's a
You don't
theory.
find
The
the-
kid was connected to the chef, right?
They have the same skills as The Shining.
Yeah, because
He
like,
was a plot device. The chef was a plot device.
No,
to,
but I mean,
to
because,
kind
like-
of be the savior.
well, I mean, because
if
there was
you will.
some sort of like connection between the kid and the chef.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
sucks?
It's because like when he kills him, like the
Easy.
kid reacts to it.
Right.
And the only confusing part is like he was there before, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
but other than that, dude, like it wasn't scary.
You didn't find Jack
It went
Nicholson's-
0 to 100 really quick.
Okay, but apart from that, you didn't like his character? Like, did you find that scary? Like, man.
I think he did a good job, but his character wasn't great.
And let me just say this. If you watch Doctor Sleep, that one, the continuation, it sucks, but it
Sam Raimi
explains-
did that one, right?
Yeah, I think he did. It basically explains the rest of like why that universe exists, because what happens is that they don't talk about it a whole lot, like between like the kid and
But they do in the novel.
Well, what's the guy's name? Scatman.
Yeah. The
What's his
cook.
character's name?
Character name?
Oh, wow! The one thing I didn't have pulled up.
Well, anyway.
The chef, or
Yeah.
yeah, Scatman Crothers is played by Halloran.
Not al revés. His character
Well-
name is Halloran. He's played by Scatman Crothers.
Okay, well there you go.
Okay. Well, anyway, Scatman. What happens is that in this universe, there's people with this ability called like a shine, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's just kind of the nickname given to people with like this ability. But everybody shines differently. So some people can like telepathically communicate. Other people have the ability to like manipulate somebody's mind. Some people have like telekinesis. Like, it's weird. There's a whole universe of like people with that ability. It wasn't explored in this film. All that was kind of explored was that this kid can kind of mind communicate to Scatman, and that's about it. But what you find out later on is that Danny actually has the ability to see the past energies that are stuck within locations. So that's why he goes into places and he can have visions of what went on before.
In the novel, when he talks to himself, the little finger.
Yeah.
Tony is the character.
Toby.
Tony, I think. I'm sure it's Tony.
Yes, Tony.
Because his middle name is Anthony.
Okay.
It's future him communicating with him.
Oh.
That was never explored. It's future him. Ewan McGregor him basically coming back and saying,
Yeah.
these are the things.
Have any of you read the book?
No.
Well, just like you said, you could have done without the family. I could have done without that.
This would have been a better film without the family, dude.
It just
Bro.
not everything was explained, and maybe he was able to use that ambiguity as kind of a horror thing because that's one thing. There's so many different elements at play. There's this shining factor. There's this hotel factor. There's maybe a ghost factor. There's all these different things. Even like the big scene with like that dog giving head to that one random guy. And a lot of people when they saw it, they were like, oh, maybe that's to insinuate that he was sexually abused as a child and that's what's happening. But then later on they explain, no, he sees the past and the energies.
No, but the wife saw that.
Yeah, but it's because apparently in Dr. Sleep they explain the house itself is an entity, or the hotel itself is an entity.
Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Which it is.
Sorry, Kubrick. If you need another film to explain your film, probably not sitting well.
Boom.
Right? He still hasn't given his rating.
Pow, pow. Pow, pow. That's my reaction to what you just said.
Pow.
As a horror, a 2.
Jeez.
And I'm being serious, dude. I didn't feel any horror with it.
It would have helped if you wouldn't looked at your phone, but I mean, it's just cool. It's like,
Wow.
just like, I'll just play it, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry for trying to run a company here and organizing 8 people's different schedules.
No, I'm saying. No, that's
And
true.
as a film,
As a film,
2.5.
performance,
Give it a soft
setting.
7.
Top 7.
The cinematography saves it.
Yeah, that's right.
But
And
yeah,
Jack Nicholson.
as a
Jack-
comedy,
Jack
I'd give it a 10, dude. So many memes come out of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's where I sit with
that's
it.
fair.
This is rough. Okay, and then
And then Carlos, the highest rating of the night, higher than anything else you've ever rated.
Oh,
higher
sure.
than La La Land, higher than anything.
Okay, here's the thing.
Do you want to give your rating first and then tell us what the thing is?
Sure. My horror rating, soft 5. My cinema rating,
Soft 5.
no, it has merit. It has merit. Soft 7.5, 7.5. Let me tell you why. Kubrick, like many of the greats, Ricky and I have this conversation all the time.
Gervais?
Ricky Gervais and I, when you name guys like Spielberg, Scorsese, you can't name a bad film in their filmography. When it comes to Kubrick, you can't name a bad film. Even his worst film is a good film.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that this is his worst film because I haven't seen all of his films. I'm still missing like Barry Lyndon. I'm still missing Eyes Wide Shut. But for instance, when I saw Clockwork Orange, when I saw Full Metal Jacket, that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Those films stuck with me.
This one did not. It did with me. No, but go for it.
Just cinematically, existentially, because it's one of Kubrick's biggest things. 2001, A Space Odyssey is not about its technical form, it's about existentialism. This film is about existentialism, just like any other Kubrick film. But I don't think it's his best. I think he did this substantially better in other films. So that's why it gets my ratings. I have a feeling that I'm going to screen Eyes Wide Shut and I'm going to screen Barry Lyndon and I'm going to still feel better about those films. I could be wrong. I think here's the thing. I'm a weird guy. When it comes to, and you could call us pretentious, you call us whatever. When it comes to music and cinema, I've developed a different palette. So I'm not saying it's better than anybody else's. I don't think it's better than anybody else's, but I hate, for lack of a better term, I hate the A sides and I end up loving the B sides of something a lot more. Yeah, so like to me, The Shining, just like the Lao said, it's a great Kubrick intro film. And it's probably everybody's favorite Kubrick film.
Yeah, mine, but
Would you call this his standard?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know about that. 2001 is probably a standard.
Yeah.
But-
But when we talk about intro films, like
Yeah.
we talked about Wes or we talked about
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese,
It's usually not their best. I mean,
No, it's not their best work, but it's something that's extremely palatable
Yeah.
and shows you their range.
I
you
think
know?
this is extremely palatable. Even somebody who's never, if you show this film to your mom, she's still gonna be like, "Oh man, that was creepy," or "That was oh man," and she's not gonna get it entirely. But it's gonna stick with her a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That's intro.
True.
If you show this to a film major or whatever, you show this to somebody who's a filmmaker or who loves cinema, it's gonna be the same thing, right? You're gonna be like if I show The Shining to Sandra, she's gonna be like, "Whoa." If I show her Clockwork Orange, she's probably gonna walk out of the theater.
Yeah, it's too much all at once.
So that's my beef with it, I guess.
Okay.
And because it's gotten so popular in pop culture, and it's this cult following, everybody thinks it's this masterpiece. I think he has other masterpieces. So I think the hype is real. I think there's a huge hype behind The Shining.
You know what it
See,
is?
I think. Hold on. Let me do my bad.
No, you're good.
I hate when you compare. Why can't it just be that?
Yeah. Why can't you be in a bubble, you freak?
Because storytellers have intent. You would hope they have intention.
Yeah.
I think whether it was Kubrick's push from the studio, whether it was push from Stephen King, he got a lot of pushback on this film. If you know enough about Kubrick, you know that he's a perfectionist.
Right.
You know that he likes to maintain his vision,
Yeah.
and he doesn't give a fuck about what anybody says.
Absolutely.
I think just by watching the film again, just by knowing a little more about Kubrick,
Got stuck with it?
I know. I think he just I'm not having fun anymore. I just want to finish this shit. Mind you, this film took 56 weeks of production to finish. A whole year of production to finish.
I read that it took 60 doors and 3 days to get that. Here's
Back shot.
Johnny.
And you know why?
60
Because
door?
you know why? Because Jack Nicholson was a volunteer firefighter.
Oh.
And the prop doors they were making were too easy to break.
So he was
they
just-
had to make them thicker and bigger.
Oh, shit,
Yeah.
really?
Because it looked like he was struggling. I was
Well,
like,
they had to
yeah,
because
because I was like, man, that door you could just bust through it.
I think I agree with Austin. I think on the technical front and Jack Nicholson's performance, I think saves this film. I think the aesthetic, I think the use of color, I think the use of set design. And don't get me wrong, man. I'm naming a bunch of shit that a director's in charge of. But I don't think, in terms of an arc, the story had a ton of say. So much so that conspiracy theorists have, come together
Oh, yeah.
and just have a bunch of fucking theories about this film.
yeah.
I have one that's my favorite because the hotel, the Overlook or Overbrook?
Overlook.
The Overlook Hotel is built on Indian burial grounds. A very Stephen King thing, by the way. That's why Pet Sematary is the way it is. That somebody made an argument, wrote an essay, a very compelling essay about how this is a commentary on the white man killing the Indians. And how now the supernatural aspect, now they're fighting back. Now they have their way. I probably prefer that. That has a little more depth in it for me, right? That has a little more...
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the
Something
80s,
to
but
explore.
nowadays I don't
My-
believe in stuff like that.
My favorite one, and I took a
Yeah.
picture just so I wouldn't forget it.
Yeah.
When Danny's on the floor playing with his cars and everything, and he's basically
Oh, yeah, you
he's
told
making
me.
the cars parking on the patterns on the floor.
Oh, is this the moon landing thing?
Yeah. So there's a documentary.
It's fun,
called
man. It's
There's
fun.
there's a documentary called Room 237.
Yeah.
And it basically explores how there's people who have gone above and beyond to decipher this film, and they think that and maybe that's why it has such a big cult following.
Yeah.
People have come up with all these theories
Yeah.
on what every tiny thing means. I mean, I watched the documentary and there were so many different theories, but
Yeah.
two big ones that stood out was that one, when Danny's playing with the cars,
Yeah, you
they're
know that.
like, oh, what a coincidence that he's parking the cars just like they do at the NASA space station. And like basically on
This goes back to the fact that people believe that Stanley Kubrick
Was hired.
faked the moon landings.
Oh, yeah.
And that he
Yeah.
directed the
Sure,
moon
yeah, yeah.
landings.
So-
Oh, it's
They-
Kubrick that's believed to have directed it?
Yeah. That basically he positions the cars in a similar pattern to the actual parking lot of like NASA. And like if you look at the shape, they're like, oh, and that pattern repeats itself. They're like, oh, and Kubrick's such a genius because he put it right in front of us and
Yeah.
nobody's paying attention.
And then like he
when-
did a bunch of A11s.
Yeah.
Like A11 or the word all is very prevalent in the film. ALL. Apollo 11. Apollo 11.
yeah.
Or
Apollo
if when you look at like when Danny he stands up after playing with the cars, his shirt's Apollo 11. They're like, oh, Kubrick's just fucking with the audience at this point. And
Look,
then yeah.
John Lennon did the same thing. The Beatles, there's a whole theory that Paul McCartney died in the car accident in 1963. John Lennon and Paul McCartney, once they heard the story, they told themselves, like, let's just fuck with the fans.
I am the walrus, right?
Yeah, let's just fuck with them. I think Kubrick's the same way. I think Kubrick has the same sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, it goes even better. Like they say that you can decipher new meaning. Like some guy, what he did is that he got the film and played two versions. One at regular speed and the other one going backwards from the ending of the
Yeah,
film,
yeah,
starting
yeah.
from the credits
Okay.
to like the beginning. And there's certain like parallels where you see that at like a certain time signatures, whenever Danny's on screen, that's when Jack Nicholson is on screen at the exact same time, showing that like Danny is really battling himself.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
Like,
Okay, here's the
Y'all
thing.
don't-
Here's the thing.
Y'all don't understand Kubrick.
This is
That's
my
what it is.
right, maybe. This is my position on this film. If you're more enthralled, because look, when a filmmaker can successfully leave the film up for interpretation, cool. I don't think this did that. I think it fell
What do you
short.
mean? What do you
I
mean?
know.
There's a
No,
whole- there's a
that's
whole
that's
theories.
reaching, dude. That's
What happened to that?
reaching.
People trying to
oh
interpret it.
well, like I mean,
That's reaching. That's reaching.
But there
So
is
if you
an
need,
element-
if you need the conspiracy theories to make you engage in this film, then the film wasn't that good.
Ah, dude.
The film is not
I heard
standing
that
by
in a
itself.
Pow pow!
no, but also
Like, seen Papa?
another one which I feel like doesn't go. It doesn't have to be at a conspiracy theorist level of like breaking down every little bit of this film to understand some meaning. You mentioned the use of color, and I
Yeah.
think that that's extremely important because he made sure that, be it in the wardrobe or set design, what are you already snickering?
They
at the idea?
asked him. They asked him, why is there so much? I wore red because I knew we were going to talk about this film.
There's red in every shot of the film.
Okay.
Every shot.
And one can argue in auteur, right? One can argue, oh, it's the rage growing inside of Jack. Kubrick said, yeah, we set the film in Colorado, and Colorado in Spanish is red. That's why there's so much red.
See? Y'all don't get Kubrick, bro. He's a genius.
I don't think he's trying, man. I don't think he's trying.
Castro, I don't even think Kubrick gets Kubrick.
That's genius, bro.
I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to burst your bubble. When I read that, I was
Wait.
like, yeah, you didn't even care.
I just
Colorado. Denver, Colorado, whatever, Colorado.
I just want to point this out. The man who's calling that genius, the same man who described the mirror to us last time.
Hey Castro, tell me a color you've never seen before. All
I
right.
really thought about that.
It's like
Hold on.
it's like a mirror, but it's
Transparent.
see-through.
Anyways, but that's the weird part. Aesthetically, that's what's keeping my attention on the screen. The red.
I don't know how much longer this podcast is, Castro. This film's down to a 6
Y'all
for me.
killing me, bro.
Look,
I'm at
Y'all
a,
looking at it from like, there's no art. It's like, no, bro. It's a movie about a guy going crazy and just get lost in it.
And
Wait,
what?
wait.
Get lost
Let's.
in it.
You know what?
Let's-
What's the most?
let's
Look,
get
you
away.
know what's the
Have a
most
whole
interesting
sing-along.
part? You know what's the most interesting part about this arc? Is why did the hotel owners?
Okay, I like this.
Why do they keep sending people?
What do you mean?
Well, because they knew some dude chopped his fucking.
Well, they need somebody to take care of the hotel.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a deeper meaning there.
For sure. Which is the mystery.
I'm more
of it.
interested
I'm
in
like,
that,
okay,
and
let's-
we get it in the first 2 minutes of the film, and we never explore it again.
Ask-
Like if this would have been geez, what it's called?
Mobius strip.
A Mobius. If this would have been a Mobius, and we would have seen the owners interviewing the new.
Can you say
person.
what a Mobius strip is?
A Mobius strip is essentially a film where the beginning and the end are in the same kind of point, and it just circles around back to the beginning.
Yeah, y'all are just making fun of me now.
So I just wonder
Honestly?
if this film was a
Like a
Mobius
circle?
strip. Yeah, we studied Mobius in the same class,
like a
Costello.
circle.
We were in the same class when they told us about Mobius.
Honestly?
You starred in a Mobius film called
There's still time.
There's Still Time.
Oh, yeah,
that was
sure.
a Mobius.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, it would have been super cool if, like, right when we see Jack's frozen body and then, like, they cut back to, like, let's say the dead body of that guy. If you see the hotel owners just come back and, like, get rid of the bodies, and it's just this idea, like, they're perpetuating a cycle that's always going to
That's
happen.
only too much.
No, that would have been awesome. That would have been like,
No.
wouldn't you
great.
have fallen in love with that idea?
I would have
They
loved it.
wanted to-
I would have loved it. And you know what? What's more?
But in other films, they're showing too much, man.
Oh,
I could have
dear
been with
God.
No, because then it leaves that
the,
thing of like
the only
whoa.
thing that's a counter argument for that is that, like, for instance, we wrote.
That's what. Oh, my bad. That's what we get the whole ending scene of him being in the whole town. Like, yeah, it's them.
No, but I mean like the like he's saying the owners that they're like, hey, we have a strong feeling that being here at this hotel's it's
Inspirational.
gonna kill you and your family.
Right.
So you're cool with staying here, right? But so,
I like that.
but it would have been cool
It
if
would
they
have been
like,
cooler to keep it going.
yeah,
A little bit.
like
Like,
if there's a
like-
Jack next season, you know?
Right. You know, I would have loved that take on it, because that tells me if we believe that the hotel is all powerful and it lives forever in
Because
its
it is.
perpetual state, right? And I'm using that word on purpose because we're
Like a manner
exploring
of
something
sorts.
right. In a perpetual state, right?
Of mannerisms.
Let's redo that thought.
No, it's fine.
It's cool.
Without him commenting.
That's fine. It's fine.
In a perpetual state.
If this hotel is in the constant perpetual state
Right.
of existing forever and it's all powerful, the owners are just its servants.
Yeah.
Right?
So that would have been cool to, like, we need to continue feeding.
They're like
this
hotel
thing.
gimps.
For y'all. I like the whole thing of like who's the guy in the next guy that's for this season he's gonna be taking care of this hotel.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, but you guys saying no, but we want a little bit like the history.
No,
behind
no,
it.
no, no,
no,
We're
no,
saying
no.
that like end the film with the owners, those two guys that were there, the lawyer and then the main owner of the hotel, showing up, seeing the dead bodies and not freaking out, just getting rid of
Cleaning
them.
it up and then interviewing the next person.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would have been.
If they had ended the film where they're like, so we have an opening, and then they're interviewing some new Jack,
Stanley, I fixed your film. Let's talk.
That would have worked because he had this weird like intuition.
Right.
Like, let me start calling. Let me go over there. Like,
But
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's that whole
Well,
argument.
my kind of position on that too is that that's actually cool, because if we explore for a little bit that Kubrick was being intentional on Jack being mad from the get-go, we're exploring that this Overlook Hotel has such a big reach that the minute you entertain being a part of it, you're gonna go mad.
that's
You know,
why
that's
I like
that's intention.
Well, that's why I like the red when
Yeah.
I would explore that theme more. But it's because when you start the film, there's very little on Jack himself, but there's a lot around the hotel and little patterns.
Sure.
And then as time goes on, it completely engulfs him, especially when he gets to like the bathroom scene. So you see the
Yeah.
color ramp up as
Yeah,
he does.
yeah.
So I feel like if you were to explore that as a theme and see, how the set design and costume design played into the character and the atmosphere, there's a lot to explore there. Intentionality. I mean, sure, but I think it's cool.
Good film.
There was
I like it.
something I read that when when the
I get it.
waiter
Red.
wow when the waiter spills the yellow liqueur on him,
Yeah.
that
Symbol for piss.
sure that's the hotel like permeating itself on him like a virus,
Hacking.
Well, he does learn a lot in that
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah.
Hey, I
That's
know
Brady.
you.
That's Brady. Yeah.
So
By the way, that entire interaction, Jack being in that bar area.
Yeah, it was
anytime
great.
he speaks,
it's a great scene.
Favorite
I was
scene.
like, this is where
Favorite
Carlos
favorite scene.
gets his character's dialogue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
he's very.
I like those pieces. Yeah, I like
You do?
those. Yeah.
I don't know how to describe them. Just these very like.
What
What is it? What is it?
dated?
Yeah, it's dated, but it's like this eloquence, pinkies up.
You know what he says? He said they got it straight from the book. And my favorite line, and he's like, "What's the name of the bartender?"
Man.
He says,
Mank.
no.
There you
Lloyd?
Lloyd, you're the finest bartender from Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
No, from Timbuktu to Portland, Oregon.
Timbuktu to-
Or maybe even Portland.
Or even Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
That's a great. And that's straight from the book, by the way. Yeah, those are cool. I like them.
So, what did Stephen King, besides like the mad stuff, like? What did
Dude, man, Stephen King hated the fact that there wasn't a slow burn. He hated the casting. He hated Jack Nicholson as Jack.
Really?
He had proposed other people. He had proposed like John Voight. He proposed other people that he think would be that you can buy as a good man that eventually turns.
Yeah. But Jack has that look to just.
And that's why Kubrick casted him. There was 2 actors that were primarily considered other than Jack Nicholson. Robert De Niro.
What did I say when we were watching it?
And Robin Williams.
I told you De Niro could have played.
De Niro wouldn't have the
Here's
energy.
the thing. The reason Kubrick said, I didn't choose De Niro because I just screened Taxi Driver, and I don't think he looks crazy enough. Which I thought was weird.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Yeah.
I didn't choose Robin because I saw Mork and Mindy, and he was too crazy. So Jack Nicholson was kind of right in that middle.
Really?
I would have rather had seen De Niro on this role.
Yeah, me too.
I would have rather
De
seen
Niro?
Robin
You
Williams.
No, Jack Nicholson. Let's give
bro.
Jack Nicholson the credit where he deserves
Yeah,
it. He
Jack
did
Nicholson
great.
was great.
But there was a bunch of people suggested for this role, and Stephen King didn't like them. He didn't like Shelley Duvall. In fact, one of the biggest gripes that he has is that Shelley Duvall is misogynist. It's a misogynist view on this character. She's just there to scream and look scared. That's all she's there to do. He hated. This is why I think that this is why I think that Kubrick, look, man, he's a perfectionist, and Kubrick is known for doing more takes than David Fincher.
Oh, it's possible?
Yeah. He tortured the hell out of Shelley Duvall on this set.
Is that
really-
true? Is that just
No,
it's really sad.
Yeah,
No,
She
there's
never
like
did anything
There's
else, right?
there's 2 documentaries on it.
yeah, there's like behind the scenes footage.
Yeah.
Where you see that Jack's like he's doing his thing. He's trying to get ready for like the axe scene.
Oh, yeah, I've seen
and
that.
then like everybody's ignoring Shelley, and then she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go into the restroom now," and she's like, "Okay, bye, guys," and she goes in, but you can tell that everybody's ignoring her, and Kubrick told people,
Yep.
don't talk to her, ignore her, treat her like shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard
just-
that. Yeah.
Why wouldn't it ask
and
how?
then what happened is that you would see that she would constantly be like smoking on set just to like ease the nerves, and that at a certain point in time, like her hair was falling out
Yeah.
because of the stress of that shoot.
Yeah.
Like it was really
I gotta see this
bad.
documentary.
Look,
man.
Yeah, man.
Kubrick ended up kind of not justifying it, but he would say at the end of the shoot, like, it got the best out of you. And Shelley Duvall never held it against him. Shelley Duvall said, he got what he needed out of this. I'm
like that, okay.
not gonna push back on that. However, if I read correctly, she even had to see a therapist after this film.
See, okay.
Wait, but just like
Method directing.
right.
It's an actress. Like, she knows nothing's gonna happen to her.
Well,
like, what?
But I bring that up because I think Kubrick, again, took 56 weeks of production on this. He took a long time to do it. And as I understand it correctly, Jack Nicholson made a comment that was like, there was rewrites every day. Every day we would get new scenes. And it wasn't like a new scene in addition. It was changing one of the scenes. He's like, I got so fed up with it that the minute they would bring new sides, I would throw them away because I know no other sides are coming in pretty soon.
Oh, shit.
So when a director starts getting into those positions, dude, in my opinion, look, I don't know, man. Kubrick's a genius. Don't get me wrong. Kubrick might, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But
Piece this thing together.
when a director is having that much reluctance, that much like rethinking on set, and it's not necessarily for creative purposes,
Yeah.
you have to start wondering like the instability. Did you not love this story? Why did you have to change it so much? Why did we have to keep changing it?
It's
Why did
also
we have
really concerning when
Yeah.
you're changing things constantly, like on set. Like I can imagine if I was with you on set,
Right.
and then you're starting to be like, "Hey, just forget that scene. It's not working out. We're gonna change the blocking, change this, change that." Like at a certain point in time, it's like, dude, like how about we just stop doing this?
Right.
Because
people shut down
Yeah.
sets for 2 weeks so that they can rewrite whatever.
Yeah,
it's-
don't.
This
you-
guy was
you
getting
don't
new
push
sides in the
through.
morning, man. Every
Dude,
day.
you don't push through like that.
So
Look.
to me, that just tells me that Kubrick wasn't happy with what he was getting out of this until he was.
Look, in sets, nothing's perfect.
Right.
It's not always sunshine and rainbows.
Absolutely.
But
I think he pieced it together. Even you guys saying that it was rewrites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like anything else, we don't know what's going on in his mind. We don't know what's going on with the studio. I don't know. He made something good.
Yeah.
I
It
think
was
he
frustrating.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say
Like,
even
him
his
being a
worst
good
film is
filmmaker.
good. Yeah, him being a good filmmaker, he's gonna know how to give you a good film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this was an amazing film. I think it was a good
Castro.
film.
Save us. So no. Again, I guess we're talking about the fact that like Kubrick was a great filmmaker. So
Absolutely.
even under the worst conditions, he was going to pull something out of this. But more than that, Nicholson, I think just his ability to really envelop characters and make them his own, I think is super
Right.
impressive. Can you break down? We were talking a little bit about just how in small beats you would see Jack Nicholson go through like 5 or 7 different facial expressions on like like you at first he's confused, then he's concerned.
Well, that's-
like break down how what you got out of a performance that you really liked.
Well, that's the whole
or
beautiful
didn't
thing
like.
about acting, right? It's like,
Yeah.
all right, what are you gonna show and how are you gonna show it, right? Like, what are you gonna go inside
Right.
and get your emotions out of it? And with him, this is his character is like he's confused. He's trying to, find meaning and stuff like that. So what's beautiful about characters or actors like Jack Nicholson and Jim Carrey is their facial expressions. It's just they go from being confused
Yeah.
to slightly I'm gonna flirt with that idea, and not many actors could do that. You know what I mean? So and like especially in the bathroom scene, you could tell like it's a slow scene, and he's slowly trying to understand who this guy is, and it's like I've seen you before. So it goes from like, all right, something's happening here. I was like, yeah, you're Brady, and he starts telling him his story. So it's, the beauty of it is like he's capturing all these emotions,
He didn't have to say anything.
and he doesn't have to say anything. There you go.
But that's
beautiful.
again, that's just Jack's ability.
Yeah.
But that's not the film, right? That's him. An actor can't do it by himself.
No, I get you that, but I mean,
I will say this. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm trying to look it up as I talk to you guys. If I'm not mistaken, The Shining was Kubrick's only assignment. Everything else was original.
Really?
oh,
I wonder if that had anything to do with it, because
probably.
Kubrick would make a film every 5 years, sometimes every 10. Okay? He's very selective about what he did. He made, because I think Barry Lyndon might have been a book too, but I could be wrong. He made 2001 and 68, right? He did a bunch of other films before that. Spartacus, Doctor Strangelove, whatever, Lolita. Clockwork Orange was in 71. Barry Lyndon in 75. The Shining was in 80.
80.
Okay? Full Metal Jacket was 7 years later.
Damn, 87.
Much more care. Eyes Wide Shut was 12 years later. I have to wonder if this being an assignment, it was just him taking, the material and saying, I'm gonna squeeze the hell out of this thing and make the best of it. But I don't particularly think he was passionate about telling this story, which shows compared to his other films. And that's where you have to wonder, right? Like I said, I think Scorsese's worst film is still a good film. Something like Bringing Out the Dead, it's still a good film. Something like After Hours.
No, I feel you. I'm just,
You know.
there you go. I come from the mindset of like I've heard it from like basketball stuff. Like
Yeah.
you're never gonna have fun when you compare stuff. Like just see it for that film. Is that a cool film? Oh, was that Stanley Kubrick's film? No. I don't care
No,
about that.
and
I
that's
like
fine.
the
I'm just trying to
film.
justify my
No,
thought
no.
process. Is like,
Directors-
no, just my thought process. I didn't think the film. I thought the film was a bit underwhelming in the realm of cinema. Why? Well, it has a weak arc. It's trying to get the emotion out of people in the wrong ways, in the horror-esque ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kubrick had 3 films that he showed to people, to his crew and his cast. The first one was
Was these 3 films to understand what he was trying to?
yes, to give people in the
Right.
kind of in the sense of it. Rosemary's Baby. What was the other one? There was another one that like he made everybody watch. He was showing them horror films,
Yeah.
good horror films, right?
like that.
His intention was to make a horror film. This was Kubrick's first and only horror film. Never did it again. Never did it before.
Yeah. Which
I
is
think
cool
he
about
was
Kubrick.
playing.
That's how-
I think he was experimenting.
Yeah.
I think he got handed down an assignment.
That's why-
I
yeah,
don't.
that's why I asked you now, like-
yeah. I don't, if I have to justify my reasoning of why, since I know the storyteller,
You feel like it was
it's an underwhelming film. Why is it an underwhelming film? Well,
for you.
for all of these reasons. Yeah, for me, for all of these reasons.
Do
you
you,
know?
do you feel
What was the other film, Austin, that he was showing? Can you look that up? It was Rosemary's Baby. Oh, Eraserhead. David Lynch's Eraserhead.
oh shit.
That's the primary film that he
I
was
haven't
showing
seen that one.
everybody. Talk about a psychological horror film.
Really?
Do you feel, I mean, just to play devil's advocate and argue for the bubble situation, do you feel seeing this earlier and seeing this maybe with less of a palette and less knowledge of everything else that's out there, kind of like you mentioned with like Sandra earlier, do you
Yeah.
think then it sits higher up, but then as it develops, you start to see where it falls short? Is that
Yes.
what this film's suffering from right now with us?
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this comment.
Please.
Especially from Austin, since he just barely screened the trilogy. Everybody, my friends, my cinema pals, know that I love Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
I love the trilogy.
Yeah.
And of the trilogy, the third one's my favorite one.
Second.
Everyone's the second one is like the standard, right?
I like the first one.
The only thing that
Original.
the only thing that to me Back to the Future has going for it in the cinematic form is it's the quintessential adventure picture.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have a lot of those anymore.
True.
Indiana Jones, I mean, we don't have a ton of those anymore,
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones.
you know? So that being said, I'm starting to wonder, look, by definition, Back to the Future is a blockbuster picture. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I think pop culture does that. I don't know that it has any effect on the intention for storytellers. What I do know, no, I do know that. It does have, it does change your intention when you get paid so much money to adapt something, right?
Yeah.
I think The Shining is this poppy thing. I think it's a poppy thing. I think it's a pop culture thing. I think it's a
What?
cult favorite. I think it's enjoyable for, like a circus. Come one, come all,
Just
all
'cause you-
ages. Like it's enjoyable in that regard. It's very palatable. I don't think it has an immense number of layers. The same way I think I love Back to the Future. I do consider it cinema, and I do consider this film cinema.
No, I'll
But
give
I
you that.
think
mean,
it is an A side. I think it is
obviously,
a.
like Back
you
to the
know.
Future is a whole another like tier for sure. I just think this was just a really good, fun, psychological horror, that if you will, with
Let me
a
ask you
great
this.
actor in it.
You love thrillers.
You're saying about
You
art.
love thrillers.
I do. I'm
Would you put this in your top 5 thrillers of all time?
How it all comes around. It's one of the most that you start with for sure.
We talked
But,
about Fincher and his growth of this genre.
You know what, man? I will.
You will.
I'll
This
put
is
it in
top
my-
5 of all time.
Top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah. Just
Top
for-
15.
Top 12.
Top 20.
No, yeah, I do, man. It's just
I just want to live in your head a little bit about
okay,
it. I just
if you want to live in my head, it's I hate that I have to watch movies just for the acting. I know you guys see it for the arts and the story, and you see it for the lighting. I see it just the acting. Me, I get
is
lost.
the actor telling a story?
Yes, am I
successfully?
believing the actor? Is the actor just?
Sure.
That's how I see it, and that's how I see this film.
Yeah.
Barry Lyndon was based on a novel. Look, Barry Lyndon was a novel, so it wasn't his only assignment, I guess. I think 2001 was based on something too, actually.
The year.
Everything's based off of it.
Okay, you,
That's where my mind is at.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I watch films.
and
This
that's
is-
fair, dude. That's
this
fair.
is-
One thing
it's
we
horrible,
have been
It's horrible because I want
we
to see
have-
like you guys, but to me it's just
no,
like.
but we have
can I
been
get
praising.
lost?
We have been praising the performer. The
Yeah, yeah.
performance is the best thing about this
Exactly,
film.
and that's how I see it.
Right, so the performance is there. It's entirely fine. I just there's other elements in cinema, you know,
No,
and that.
I'm just messing. around.
And
I see-
again,
I see all those
Kubrick
points.
is a legend, man. I mean,
Yeah. He's one of the
look, I'm one of the guys who the first time I saw 2001, I was completely underwhelmed too, and I started feeling better about that sentiment because Spielberg felt the same way. First time he saw 2001, he was like, okay.
Really?
And then he saw it again, and the more he saw it, he was like, whoa, holy shit.
There's a lot of.
So I need to
layers.
rewatch.
Dude, most of
2001.
Kubrick's films are adaptations.
Most of his films are adaptations?
Eyes Wide Shut, based on Arthur Schnitzler's 1926 novella,
Okay.
Tramovelle. Full Metal Jacket, based on Hasford's novel, The Short Times.
Okay.
Shining, based on The Shining. Barry Lyndon, based on an 1844 novel, The Luck of Barry Lyndon.
Yeah.
Clockwork is based on Anthony Burgess's 1962 novel, the same name. Space Odyssey, partially inspired by Clark's short story, The Sentinel.
Oh, that's
Doctor
cool.
Strangelove is from How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, which is loosely based on Peter George's thriller novel, Red Alert. Spartacus, based on the novel Spartacus.
Right.
Yeah, so all of his stuff
So all of his stuff is adaptations.
Yeah.
Well, fuck me. I mean, then that wasn't the reason then that it was just an assignment, right?
Yeah.
But
Do you think it's because there was so many writers on this one?
on The Shining,
There was, I think,
Was it
3.
two?
well, look,
Just
Stephen
Kubrick
King
and-
submitted it's a girl. It's just a
Is that real?
co-writer.
Yeah.
Stephen King submitted a screenplay that Kubrick rejected entirely. And then him and his co-writer rewrote the script.
He adapted one of his films from like a 1980 or
1844.
1844 novel. So I mean, I feel like what that does is that you have a little bit more flexibility, that you have ultimate control.
Sure.
But the fact that Stephen King, he seemed very involved
Yeah,
with like
yeah.
all of the different film adaptations that come from his stories.
Yeah.
Is that true? 'Cause I heard that he just.
Yeah,
just-
I heard the same thing. I heard he's kind of like detached from it. He never even sees the adaptations until. Here's the cool part: when he screened Doctor Sleep, he grew a big appreciation for The Shining, again. But Stephen King is a cheeky bastard too, because he also said, "I always felt a little good about outliving Stanley Kubrick."
Oh, damn. And that's Stephen King.
Yeah. So,
But I mean,
yeah, if he had more control, I don't know. I don't know the reason. I need
Yeah.
to need to look more into it. But I don't. I think The Shining is. You have to see it.
The acting saved it. Okay.
Yeah. You have to see it.
is it a bad Halloween film? Is it a bad horror film?
You know what? I'll say.
Is it a bad?
That's the tag. Is The Shining a bad film?
Oh, bro. Haters, please come on in.
God, we're gonna get so much backlash for this episode.
We got to
It's-
explore
yeah.
these thoughts, man. I'm positive other people explored them too.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I don't know that this film deserves the credit it gets.
Yeah.
Like, if you had a what do you call those, time vaults, or what do you call them, and put in the ground?
I wouldn't put this
A
film in.
shoebox?
Well, maybe for pop culture's sake, right? I don't know. Look,
Some guy like,
I'm also the wrong guy to ask, man. I'm not quite really a horror guy. I appreciate good horror when I see it.
Yeah, same.
I think, again, it's using certain elements. I mean,
Yeah.
Shelley Duvall's performance, I wouldn't have given her Hazzy. Like, I don't know. I felt a lot of sympathy for the character.
Sure.
And because of that, I also think that the dynamic of like my mom, when she saw this film,
Yeah.
and she gave her perspective, the idea of being like, I guess, a woman in that same situation,
Sure.
caring for
Okay.
a child, for her, she
But
had an
isn't
entirely
that-
different perspective, and she found it very scary. Being
Right.
in those
That's what I'm
situations.
coming
Okay,
at.
but
It's
look,
not the
that
horror.
just
Like,
proved my point. The Shelley Duvall character exists so that the everyday moviegoer can connect to the film.
and that's bad.
It's a plot device. It's easy.
It's not easy.
Yes, it is. It's easy.
Get out of here, man.
The Shelley Duvall character exists so that mothers
Yeah.
can watch this film and be like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah, because it's
Cl-
like
clutch my pearls," you know.
what's scary of the possibilities of what a man could do.
Oh my god.
That's the whole
come at
thing.
me.
Gus, you and I grew up with alcoholic fathers, so you wait.
Exactly. That's why when I see this, I'm like, holy shit.
So, Vilao, you want to talk about cinematography and the Steadicam?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, before we
Okay,
wrap it
so
up.
the-
Just save this episode.
The cinematography was really cool because they kept a lot of stuff centered, and I liked it a lot. Like
I don't know
Har-
if you guys saw, he was like tapping his feet. Like,
No, Carlos mentioned earlier that this was one of the first 4 films to use the Steadicam system. They did go to say that they wanted the Steadicam look, especially for like the opening and a lot of the.
And they attached it to the helicopter.
Yeah,
was one of them.
yeah, that was a big one, and then also
Yeah.
they wanted it for the tracking shots of like Danny going through the halls and everything.
Tricycle.
Like that. For 2 reasons. One, it gave that sense of him being watched at all times without him knowing, like as he's innocently just kind of like pedaling through the hallways. There's always this presence.
Somebody's
that
always
something's
watching.
yeah, there's something right behind him at all times.
Yeah.
Another thing was that because the Steadicam
great.
look really hadn't been developed and shown on a lot of major motion pictures, it gave that uncanny
changed
valley.
that?
Yeah.
Who changed the use of a Steadicam?
Guys, I think we have a record. We're an hour and 10 minutes into the
Is
episode.
he
And
gonna say Martin Scorsese again?
I think this is a record. I think it's the longest it's gone.
Marty Scorsese.
Anybody? No, I mentioned him earlier
When?
when I talked about like bad films and that sort of thing,
Oh,
filmography. But the Copacabana scene, everybody's been using that for the Steadicam since then.
Oh yeah, I mean
That's the use of the Steadicam we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kubrick was trying to experiment with the idea that this wasn't a common shot to see in films.
Right.
So he wanted to use it as an uncanny valley, kind of like when you see
Like
Snorri
like a Snorri cam was supposed
yeah,
to like
when
a
you
Snorri
see Snorri
cam.
cam where it's an angle that's not very common. It's I don't know. To those who don't know what a Snorri cam is, it's when a vest is mounted onto the main actor and the camera sticks out and just films them. So when they turn, you watch the world kind of shift around, but
Yep.
you're always fixed on them. It's a very awkward camera angle, and that's not to say that it's like meant to be an awkward shot. It's just it gives a certain effect, you know, of being like lost and trying to like gain their footing. In the same way, the Steadicam use here was meant to give one this like haunting feeling of something supernatural
Hovering.
being around the characters, and 2, it was just very different for the time. Nobody had really seen this type of camera movement before, so it was kind of it was meant to be uncanny to that a camera could move that way, because before you would see a lot of pans, you see tilts, you would see crane shots that they're very fixed, but this is a camera that follows you anywhere you go.
Yeah.
This can really go into tight spaces.
and I like it because in the beginning it's so smooth, but then in a couple of shots you can see it's a helicopter. You can see
Yeah.
it's, and I'm like,
And then what's really cool is whenever you look at the shots of and this is why Steadicam it's now such a standard and
Right.
people use it for everything. When you do those long shots down the hallway and the second Danny pops out and Jack starts chasing him, then the camera starts chasing him, and you don't really see that, you know. The
You
fact
haven't
that the
seen that
camera's
up until that
fixed
point.
at fixed on one point, and then now the camera's hunting him down, and it gives you that eye line perspective. Like those are super cool shots that I really feel
Yeah.
gave a lot of merit to the
Yeah.
Steadicam world, and because of films like this, that's why it's now a standard for films. You know,
I have some fun facts in regard to that. Specifically, the helicopter shots.
yeah.
So there's some outtakes
oh really?
footage that he didn't use
Okay.
for the helicopter
People
shots.
died.
And I forget if it was Warner's
I'm a sucker for these.
or something. There was some money-saving advantage where Ridley Scott used the outtakes for Blade Runner.
Oh wow.
So some of those
So they used those,
shots,
yeah.
they're in Blade Runner. And the only
Save a little
condition that
money.
Kubrick had was like, as long as you don't use the ones I
Exactly.
actually selected,
Exactly.
you can have the litter.
Wow.
Yeah,
gotta
so
see-
they're
I gotta
Blade Runner.
see.
Wait, when? In
Yeah, I
Blade
gotta
Runner?
see.
I mean, the field shots, right? The
I mean, probably they're gonna be different, obviously.
The
So-
unicorn shots?
I don't know.
We're talking about the same Blade Runner, right?
Yeah, Ridley Scott's Blade Runner.
With Harrison Ford
Yeah.
and Mila Kunis. See, we're talking about a different film.
What about the score? The score is a little intense. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I still have more fun facts.
Wait, what? That was in Blade Runner?
If Austin could put these side by side, I found a video of them
No,
side by side.
it's copywritten.
Oh wow. See? That's pretty
It's
cool.
the opening. So they're Kubrick shots
What?
in Blade Runner.
I didn't know that.
Another thing to note is the sets.
Oh, the mace.
Primarily, well, the maze, but primarily, this film was shot at Elstree Studios in London.
England, yeah.
They took over all of the sound stages, every single sound stage, because Kubrick wanted to shoot in order of the script, and everything was to be pre-lit and prepared, ready to go.
Wow.
Every
Solidly,
set.
Yeah.
Wow. It doesn't save money, I'll tell you how much. But
When you make
they
a
took over all of
masterpiece.
these sets that Steven Spielberg was getting ready to. He was in pre for Raiders of the Lost Ark. They shot Raiders of the Lost Ark in these studios, and he went to visit the set, and that's where he first met Kubrick.
Oh wow.
And that spanned into a 20-year-long friendship. And Spielberg directed AI, which was a Kubrick script.
Yeah.
But there's a scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the snake pit scene, for the souls, for the Temple of Souls. That's the same soundstage.
Oh, wow.
As they kept some of the sets and just dressed them differently.
I think what's interesting about the fun facts you were telling us earlier, I don't think you mentioned it yet on the podcast, but how filmmaking, and especially working in like a studio system, you're constantly being put like mashed in between other films.
Right.
Like where you talked about the camera operator.
Yeah. So the film was only the camera operator signed up to do the film with the guarantee that the film wouldn't last no longer than 6 months, because 6 months later he had to go shoot Rocky 2. This film went over a year. So what he would do after the 6 months is 1 week on The Shining, 1 week on Rocky 2, 1 week on The Shining, 1 week on Rocky 2.
Damn.
It's because, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Steadicam operator was like the guy who made it.
Well, yeah.
Like, so, because the early films for the Steadicam, it was
He developed
like,
the
he was
technology.
the only one. I've seen early rigs of the Steadicam, and it's super janky. You
Yeah.
see the whole
Yeah.
system.
Do you know what the first
Yeah.
prototype was called?
Huh?
Do you know what the first prototype
What
was
is it?
called?
No, I don't.
It's called the Brown Stabilizer. Because the guy who created it was called Garrett Brown.
That's
Brown
amazing.
stabilizer.
Fun fact.
That's
So he was a
great
cam
fact.
op?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a camera operator, and he was trying to explore if there was a way to
That is
Stabilize.
Yeah,
exactly.
because he's like, he wanted the movement that you would get from like a dolly or a crane shot, but he wanted it to be that the
Free
camera
flowing.
could like move around. So
Follow the
he
drone.
So
bro.
yeah.
It's just
So,
so smooth.
This Austin will love this fact too. In those same studios, they shot.
No, man.
Star Wars, the second one,
Oh.
You really can't remember the name.
Empire Strikes Back. They shot
I was about to
Empire.
go over there and kick your ass.
They shot Empire Strikes Back. I'm sick, motherfucker. I don't remember things right now. They shot Empire Strikes Back on the same stages. The snow for the production was used for Hoth.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, mama, cinematography.
See?
This is how scaled these films were. The maze. The maze was built on an airstrip.
Yeah, Indian
near,
burial ground.
No,
No,
on an airstrip near the studios.
near the studio, yeah.
They just built this fucking massive maze, and then the only digital shot is it's a model and the zoom, the slow zoom, and their models. They're little models.
By
of
the
the
way, I have
characters.
something about that zoom and another one that really got to me.
What?
It's literally the stupidest thing. They weren't centered.
Oh, were they?
They were trying to like
Oh.
go for symmetry, but then you would notice like
No, but
Yeah.
one side of the frame was like closer than the
Oh, I
other
didn't
side.
notice that.
Mm.
It was
Yeah,
like the
he
stupidest.
also had that same note about Jack Nicholson not being like perfectly center with like that the
staircase.
The staircase. I'm gonna be a conspiracy theorist and argue that he was not yet enveloped and integrated into the madness of the hotel.
Maybe.
That's why.
Yeah, I
He
agree
was
with that.
not integrated into the
All
madness.
right, Kermit. So yeah,
Yeah.
The Shining.
Patty
Shining.
Mahomes.
Any rating changes?
You have opinions.
Kenny
Rating
Powers.
changed. For cinema, it's 7. For horror, it's a 2. I would. Okay, this is the hard part. I think when we do the ratings, this is not a universal rating.
No.
That means that we are not saying that our ratings are the final definition on how this film will sit for everybody forever. If you
Exactly
like this
what I'm
film,
saying.
that's great. If you
Right.
don't like this film, that's fine too. But I do think that in the personal views I have as a filmmaker who's also developed their palette, has seen more films by the same filmmaker and by other filmmakers, I can see that as a horror film, if you it goes back to marketing. A lot of people watch films that were marketed as these really scary horrors, and they could be good films, but then it's like I didn't get scared, so it's a bad horror film. And I think this
the film
one
has blood coming out of the
Yeah.
elevators doesn't.
and
Yeah.
Like,
like
they got that in
I-
3 takes.
really.
Well, how did they do it? You know, like they just.
Was it a model?
I don't know.
Or a
I
full-
don't know. What I do know is that it took a year to prep the shot. Took a year to prep, and it took 9 days, I think, to shoot.
By the way, 50 shots for the tennis ball.
Yeah, he was trying to get some perfect little shot.
50 takes.
Yeah, most of Kubrick's takes were like north of 100.
I like that.
By the way, did you see
Put
that
you
there's
on
a
set.
theory about how he tried
Yeah, I
to
know
get
how I
Jack
got it.
Nicholson crazy?
How he tried what?
That there's some theorists saying that they fed Jack Nicholson cheese sandwiches.
Oh
for
yeah,
2
and he
weeks.
hates cheese sandwiches. So that's supposedly for 2 weeks leading up to the act scene. They fed him nothing but cheese sandwiches.
to
It's
have
it's
him?
not true.
Oh.
Like Jack
Okay, I was
Nicholson has
just-
said that it's not true, but it's conspiracy. Like people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna end off by saying that if you're, I cannot market this film or tell people that it's a true blue horror. I do think it's a horror film, and if you're a horror lover,
It's a psychological.
yeah,
horror.
and if you're a horror lover and like understanding like how it develops and the different iterations and how directors will tackle the genre, definitely watch this film. As a film appreciator and lover of cinema, there you can see how intentionality will save a film, even if the behind the scenes, hating a project won't, because there's people who love a project idea and they film it and it comes out terrible, and then there's people like this where you even feel like maybe he was just tired of the project, but you still can't say it's a bad film. So, a lot to be gained.
Kubrick holds the record for the longest, the most amount of takes on a single scene. I think it's something like 157 takes
On this film or something
on
else?
this one.
Which one?
I don't remember the scene.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
The intern went to go get coffee.
But
That's
it,
fair.
it just comes to show you, man. Setups are everything. The scene with the bathtub lady, that took 7 days to shoot.
Dude.
So talk about turning a shoot into a year, man. I mean that. you know.
Yeah, I mean, single shots taking more than
Yeah.
an hour. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Well, that's just our indie brain telling us something, right?
Yeah.
But anyways,
I-
I'm with you, Law. I don't think. I think you should watch it. I do think.
No, it's hard to say, and
Nah, I'm fucking with you guys. Yeah.
yeah, but it's hard to say because it's definitely something I'm not going to tell people. No, I hated this
Yeah.
film. Don't watch it. I just think people's palates change.
Yeah.
People have different taste, and if you love the film, that's great. That's amazing. Like, keep loving the film. But
I don't know
Like,
if-
I'm gonna go to. They're gonna have a horror fest soon.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna go check it out, but I can already tell that there's gonna be a booth with T-shirts of The Shining because horror fans will justify.
It's the hype, man.
Yeah.
It's the
That
hype,
this
and I
is
think
a
this film
horror
has more hype than it has merit.
Okay, well, those are my thoughts. Watch it or don't.
Look, if you
we're
guys
not
want to
paying-
see, if you guys are true fans of like isolation and psychological thrillers of like a man and what he could do, blah, 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 blah.
What he could do?
What a man is possible to do.
The man is capable.
They're
of-
capable. There you go.
Yeah.
Watch this movie.
Simply because of the whole Colorado thing, I'm dropping it to a 6.9.
That's fine.
You?
Yeah.
I'm okay with leaving it at a 7 for film.
C's get degrees.
What?
C's get degrees.
C's get degrees. I'm okay with leaving it as a 7 for film. I think it's at a 4 for horror. Look, man, when you watch something like Rosemary's Baby,
We should have done that.
yeah,
Don't compare stuff. Just watch them.
I mean,
Next time on the
I'm sorry,
WatchTower
guys. I'm sorry you guys hated this
podcast,
film.
I didn't hate it. It's a good pick, man. And
For-
Kubrick's a guy we haven't covered on this podcast.
Halloween month.
We're wrapping up Halloween month next
We're
week.
wrapping up Halloween month.
With
That's so sad.
The Thing.
The Thing.
The
We're doing John
Thing.
Carpenter's The
With
Thing.
special guest Eric
Special
Sanchez.
guest Eric Sanchez. He loves this film. It's a
Then
fun one.
We're gonna
Let's see. Right.
and
It's fun.
stay tuned.
No, but you
'cause-
see that
Oh.
movie knows what it wants to be.
Oh my God.
So stay tuned for The Thing and us wrapping up Spooky Month.
And we have a question: The Shining versus The Thing, which is a better movie?
I've seen The Thing. The Thing.
Anyway.
Which is a better movie?
The Thing is
Find
scarier.
out next episode. Also,
Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure to subscribe. Help us share the podcast.
doesn't
and
take
stay
much,
tuned
just
because
click it.
during the entire month of November, we're going to find at least one Thanksgiving film and watch it. We all agreed on it.
You're going to
Everybody-
find a Thanksgiving film and watch it.
I have my November film picked out.
I don't even know what I have. Yeah. Stay tuned.
The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing.
And thank you guys for joining us for this episode. Let us know your thoughts. If we're totally wrong, please let us know.
Yeah.
We're
If
gonna
you
get
disagree
so
and you
much
think The
hate.
Shining is this massive masterpiece, please let us know.
Yeah. Have we become too pretentious?
Yes.
That's the tagline, you know?
Yes.
Nah,
Thank you
I
guys
don't
for
think
tuning
we have.
in to the WatchTower Film Podcast, and good night.
Love you guys.
Take care, everybody.
Here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny.
Jack
Black.
Nicholson.